With Steven Spielberg himself backing her and the entire globe at her feet, how could anything go wrong? From the outside, it seemed like the ultimate fairy tale, a Cinderella saga, where the small-town lass with the grand voice claimed center stage. Spielberg wasn't just hiring her, he was crowning her, and the industry was ready to unfurl the red carpet. But now that same man who lifted her from obscurity is allegedly the one slamming the gate shut hard. If the newest Tinseltown rumors are true, Spielberg finally revealed the turmoil Rachel allegedly sparked during West Side Story, and it's not a pretty sight. Once seen as the future of the industry, Rachel's dream career is now crumbling under the crushing weight of her own demeanor. And it's not just Spielberg who's stepping back combined with the Snow White box office fiasco.
Sure. What's it like hearing people say all these really nice things?
It's very validating. A lot of hard work has gone into this film, but so much love, truly, speaking for myself and also for the filmmakers behind it, just so much love for the storytelling and for bringing something that means so much to so many people and bringing it to the modern age is really so special.
The new Disney boss babe, who is Rachel Zegler, the inverse of
a film that turned into one of Disney's costliest flops ever. Rachel's plunge from grace isn't just shocking, it's unprecedented. It might just be one of the swiftest collapses Hollywood has ever witnessed. When Rachel first tried out for West Side Story, it wasn't just impressive, it was stunning.
So apparently, according to them and according to the writers of Snow White, women can't even want to be in love anymore.
They say all you have to do to make your wish come true is let it echo, 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 echo.
This is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive.
Spielberg, a man who's collaborated with some of the finest actors of all time, saw something raw and unrefined in her. She was the wild card, the unknown he could mold into the next household name. Studio bosses were reportedly doubtful. Could a total unknown lead a film like this? But Spielberg didn't.
It's got extra musical numbers that are incredibly unnecessary that really add to that runtime. And let me go ahead and let you know that they're absolutely f***ing atrocious.
Have they ever thought about maybe like a little bit of like, I don't know, vulnerability study, opposition research, that sort of thing before you go and hire some Zoomer who's a lunatic?
She came out and she said, I apologize. Like I went too far, but it wasn't.
Falter. He battled for her fiercely. He staked his own reputation to ensure Rachel secured the role of Maria. To Spielberg, she wasn't just another performer. She was the future, his personal endeavor. But behind closed doors, sources claimed that trust rapidly soured Spielberg, who prides himself on spotting talent, was allegedly stunned by the individual Rachel became once the cameras stopped rolling. Instead of a grateful newcomer keen to grow,
I sat through the whole thing. This was really bad. It was extremely leftist on every political dimension: racial politics, sexual politics, class politics, regime politics. Its narrative was cowardly. It was just off.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird.
Queen playing the evil queen. It was pretty amazing.
Insiders say Spielberg was met with someone who behaved like she had already succeeded. Someone who thought the production should center on her. And once you lose Spielberg's faith, there's no regaining it. Almost immediately after the cameras began rolling, the enchantment started to fade. Insiders claim Rachel's conduct turned what should have been a victorious shoot into a behind-the-scenes nightmare. Now,
I'm guessing that she's not married. I'm guessing that she doesn't have kids. The movie is a complete disaster, by the way.
So she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
Disney deleted Someday My Prince Will Come and made a modernized feminist alternative.
And you know the saying, go woke, get broke, and Disney's going to lose money on this movie. And I believe it only made less than $1 million.
Allegedly, Rachel wasn't just fervent, she was defiant. Reports say she frequently clashed with the directing crew, challenging their authority and doubting their decisions. She nitpicked choreography crafted to honor the original movie.
For remaking the movie, they just got rid of the dwarfs. But they have one token dwarf amongst these magical creatures. You actually just went backwards. You actually just erased the dwarfism side of it. The disability, like we're a disability group. You just erased that whole...
Into this, the first villain Disney ever had. It's really getting myself into this big crown.
They spent $170 million to make the thing, and it had the lowest opening, under $50 million, of any of these live-action Disney remakes that they've ever had.
Nobody wants a movie about true love. What kind of woman do we want out there seeking true love, Eliana? It's the outrage.
The same choreography Spielberg had taken pains to preserve out of respect for cinematic legacy crew members, once thrilled to work on a Spielberg musical, began murmuring about the Rachel issue. The vibe shifted, excitement turned to fatigue. The production didn't feel like a dream anymore. It felt like a slow-motion catastrophe brewing right under Spielberg's nose. And Spielberg, a man known for shielding his actors fiercely, allegedly, found himself in a quandary, privately humiliated. Furious that the fresh talent he had risked so much on was now making the project tougher, not better. As the days on set dragged into months, Spielberg's legendary patience allegedly wore slimmer. With every encounter, sources say what started as quiet unease turned into open exasperation behind the scenes. The man who had once championed
pretending like Rachel Zegler is the first of them all when she looks like Lord Farquaad in the film.
Doing catastrophically. They spent $300 million and it currently has a 2.2 out of 10 rating on IMDb.
The movie has a major identity crisis.
Rachel at every gathering was now allegedly venting to close allies and not holding back. According to insiders, Spielberg privately raged that Rachel lacked basic professionalism. She acted like the production was built around her, like she was bigger than the film itself. For a director who built his legacy on collaboration where every actor, grip, and gaffer mattered, this was a betrayal. One insider even claimed Spielberg said Rachel spoiled the spirit of what was meant to be a celebration of teamwork. A scathing rebuke from a man who has launched more careers than almost anyone alive. And when someone like Spielberg starts regretting his choices, that is not gossip, that's career demise. Crew members allegedly noticed the shift instantly. Spielberg, once so warm and supportive, had grown distant. By the end of filming, insiders say he treated Rachel like just another name on the call sheet. No special mentions. No backstage guidance, just cold professionalism and a growing sense that Rachel's big chance had already slipped away. When West Side Story hit theaters, Spielberg did the obligatory rounds. He appeared on carpets. He gave a few sound bites, but anyone paying close attention could see something was amiss. During interviews, when Spielberg lauded the film, he would highlight the ensemble cast, the cinematography, the legacy of the story.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
Controversy in Snow White. The dwarves have been eliminated in the live action.
Yeah.
Now it's Snow White and the 7 magical beings.
Wait, it's 7 and the magical beings?
Yeah,
They won't even say
magical
and the 7
beings.
dwarves?
No, because they're not dwarves. For right now, that's the only jobs that are there.
But conspicuously absent from many of his public remarks, Rachel Zegler's name, insiders murmured that it wasn't a coincidence. It was deliberate. Instead of staying quiet or projecting humble gratitude, she hit the interview circuit like a tornado. She posed for bold magazine shoots. She gave eyebrow-raising interviews where she mocked Disney classics. She amassed foes faster than she gained fans. What should have been her defining moment became a slow-motion PR disaster when Spielberg, arguably the greatest living director, quietly stops supporting you. You're no longer shielded. In Hollywood, where careers are built on alliances and reputation, it's not enough to be gifted. You need powerful allies. And Rachel, whether she realized it or not, had lost the most influential one she could ever hope to have. By the time awards season wrapped up, the writing was on the wall. Rachel wasn't the next big star anymore. She was a risky gamble. And in Hollywood, nobody bets on the house when the walls are already crumbling. If Rachel Zegler's career was already teetering after West Side Story, Snow White shattered it completely. Disney's much-hyped live-action remake, expected to rake in billions, turned into one of the biggest flops. In the studio's history, the film didn't just underperform. It crashed hard, barely scraping together $194 million globally against a bloated $270 million production budget. Snow White wasn't just a financial loss, it was a humiliation. But it wasn't just the numbers that were brutal. The public criticism Rachel received was even worse. Fans didn't simply dislike the film, they ridiculed it. Meme after meme flooded social media, roasting the movie, mocking Disney's attempt to update a beloved classic, and tearing Rachel's performance and her public comments to absolute shreds. Clips emerged of Rachel deriding the original 1937 Snow White, calling it outdated and strange, even laughing at the notion of a prince saving a princess. What she clearly thought would sound empowering instead came off as smug, dismissive, and utterly disconnected from the audiences Disney needed, and the backlash was immediate. Suddenly, all the backstage gossip about Rachel's arrogance weren't just murmurs anymore. They were mainstream headlines. Rachel wasn't the misunderstood rising talent. She was the antagonist in her own Hollywood tale, a case study in how fast you can lose public support when you act like the audience is beneath you. As the Snow White fiasco exploded across the internet, Rachel still clung to hope that her career could weather the storm, that perhaps, just perhaps, the industry would overlook a flop if she stayed silent long enough. But then the nuclear bomb dropped. Sources close to Rachel claimed she totally unraveled when she heard what insiders were saying. That Spielberg himself, the man who discovered her, was allegedly sharing the true behind-the-scenes accounts about her West Side Story conduct with Hollywood elites. It wasn't just bad press anymore. It wasn't just angry posts. It was her career being systematically, brutally dismantled, and from the inside out by the most influential man she had ever worked with. Rachel allegedly pleaded with her team to enter damage control mode. She pushed for interviews to mend her image. She strategized with publicists. She even floated the idea of launching a public apology tour. But it was too late, because when Spielberg quietly withdraws his backing, it's like a silent blacklisting. Nobody has to say anything. Studios just stop calling directors, stop offering roles, and Rachel's once blazing Hollywood momentum turned into dead silence almost overnight. As one insider allegedly put it, she went from Spielberg's discovery to Spielberg's warning tale, and there's no recovering from that. Directors started quietly shunning her big projects. She was rumored for vanished. One producer allegedly said privately, "She's a great voice trapped in a nightmare PR storm." Even Disney, the brand that built the Snow White remake around her, began quietly distancing itself. Rumors say several upcoming projects were paused or restructured to eliminate Rachel's involvement in Hollywood. Reputation is everything, and Rachel's isn't just tarnished, it's radioactive. Rachel Zegler had the world handed to her on a silver platter, a Spielberg project, a Disney princess role, and in just under 2 years, she squandered it all. Because in this town, talent gets you in the room, ego gets you kicked out. And while Rachel's downfall might seem abrupt, insiders say it was simmering from the very start. The only question left is whether this is a temporary stumble or the permanent end of what could have been a once-in-a-generation career. If Spielberg has truly turned his back on her, then Rachel Zegler's Hollywood story didn't just